Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Today I want to talk about from my perspective, in my opinion, a positive side effect of the current health situation that we're having. And especially in Western countries, I think there is a positive side effect also, and that is that people have less and less interest in large sporting events like the professional big leagues where the players make millions, and you all know the sports ball leagues, the NBA and so on, and the German Bundesliga and the Premier League. We in Europe, for us, it is mostly football, that is called soccer in America, the football that is actually played with the leg and foot. And then in the US, you have more. Of course, you have baseball, basketball, football, and so on. And people have less and less interest, and it is actually hard for these leagues to still do what they normally do, because it is, of course, a spectator sport, and you cannot fill these huge arenas, these huge stadiums under the current hygiene regime. That's just not possible. And in today's video, I want to tell you a little bit about what happened to football in Germany. I'm not an expert on that, but I found some interesting newspaper articles. And then I want to argue my point, make my case for why this is a positive thing for us. And I want to then, as I usually do, move a little more to the general side of things, going away from the concrete example, and just, talk a little bit more about celebrities and their function in society in general. Okay, let's get started. So, in Germany, first of all, these big games in the Deutsche Bundesliga, the German football league, the first one, or the other professional leagues also, these games were called off, of course, because these are public events which exceeds the number of allowed participating members, which can vary, at what city you look, at what month you look at, but these large events were definitely not allowed to prevent the spread of this pandemic that we have. And that means then that at some point the games were allowed again, but without spectators. So we call these ghost games, yeah, Geisterspiel or something. And that is usually, when some when fans commit some monstrosities during the game, or when some team is behaving badly, then the league, there is a decision that can be made that the game has to be repeated, but then without fans. And that is normally to punish the team, because no fans means no income from tickets. And that is then usually a very creepy thing to watch on TV, because it's really silent in the stadium, and you hear every time they kick the ball, you hear the sound. Or it's kind of interesting also when the trainer yells something, you hear it clearly, because the noise from the crowds in the stadium is just missing. And now all of these games are like that, and that led them then to the media outlets, that is, so the media channels, the TV channels and stations that were airing these games, then they were adding an artificial pre-recorded fan soundtrack or fan noise over that video footage from the stadium then. And that also sparked a scandal. I think it was Bayer Leverkusen. It is a football club from the factory, from the company Bayer, which is a pharmaceutical company in Germany. So it is a company club, and I think they used fan chants from 1. FC Köln, so the first league, or the big club in the city of Cologne. And that outraged the fans, like, oh, how could you how could you use the Cologne chants for a game of our team? Yeah, that was some fan rage that this sparked then. And then the other article I found is they're discussing now that they want to ban the sale of alcohol beer, that is. Of course, Germans don't drink red wine in the football stadium. They want to ban the sale of beer in the football stadium. And then I mean, I enjoyed a game every now and then, and without beer, why would I even bother to go there? I can just watch the game from at home, or even better, not watch it at all, because I don't care about that stuff. So, a little disclaimer here at this point. I am not some intellectual or some scientist or some nerdy guy who isn't athletic or who doesn't like sports because he sucks at sports. There is this archetype of the soy boy man that has to tell everyone every 2 minutes that he finds sports so ridiculous, like, oh, people, grown-up men chasing after a ball. Ha ha ha. I'm not one of those guys, okay? I like sports. I don't play any ball sports, but I do a lot of sports. I like the aspect of competitiveness, of training, dedication, hard work, and yeah, in the 90s and sometimes occasionally even afterwards, I watched sports games and I enjoyed them. Especially when it used to be, I have to say, our national team. Of course, I don't want to say that sports are stupid in general, but I want to make the point in the later course of this video that the current form of this big spectator sport, your NBA, your Premier League, that is nonsense. And for me, it doesn't make any sense, and I want to see it gone, quite frankly. It has a destructive effect on our society, in my opinion. So, of course, we know, and I don't want to drag this out too long, this is not a modern phenomenon, this spectator sports and these huge crowds of fans that have their idols and their pro players, pro athletes, that existed already thousands of years ago, and we know that from the Olympic Games in ancient Greece. And back then it was each city-state against the other one, and you wanted to be the city that has the most prominent and the most numerous winners of Olympic titles in your ranks, and they marched in the battle lines when the cities made war on each other and all that stuff. But back then it was actually people from that city. That's the important point, it wasn't people who were just bought from all over the world. The athletes were sometimes members of the leisure class who just had time to dedicate their lives to training and becoming the best. They didn't have to work in the fields, or they were pro athletes. And especially I read about stuff from the wagon racing, the 4 horses that pull one wagon, one chariot, and this kind of race thing, that the owner of the chariot, of the horse chariot, was a rich guy, and he didn't compete in that sport, but he kind of paid for that. He paid the athletes, he bought the horses, and that was like his chariot in the race then, his wagon, so to speak. And that was a competition amongst really rich families then. So that was already the aspect of you're buying someone to do sports for you, for your honor, for your glory, kind of. So that already existed back then, right? But still, you could still identify the people with the city, and that is why it was really our athlete, our team. But when I look at the situation today, what I see is Bayern München, Bavaria Munich. That's the big name of the big football club in Germany from the city of Munich in Bavaria. Does this team have anything to do with the state of Bavaria and with the city of Munich? No, of course not. Nothing. Yeah. Does Borussia Dortmund have anything to do with Prussia or with Dortmund? No, of course not. The people that are playing there are they're scouted by talent scouts all over the world, and then they're bought for millions, and they have a contract with that team, and in 2 or 4 or 5 years, they're gone again. And yes, you might say now, hey, there are these youngsters who were trained in the youth team, and they come from a district in that city, and they were built up by that team, by the trainer there, and this is like homegrown talent. Yeah, yeah. But then if they're successful after 2 years, they're gone and they go to Barcelona or to Arsenal London or what have you, right? So be that as it may, there might be some exceptions, but overall, you see people, pros from all over the world, and they're just going where the money is. And then you have a bunch of global pros that train in one city that are competing against a bunch of global pros from another city, or who are training for a team that is located in another city, but probably owned by someone who isn't even from that city either. So to me, it doesn't make any sense anymore these days. Why would I even watch that? Why would I, as a French person, watch the French national team of football or soccer? Why would I do that? These people have, they're not even, I mean, don't get me, I mean, they're not even from the nation. Why, how can they play in the national team? And even the cities, as I said, how can I, as a Bavarian, as a person from Munich, how can I watch this team and think, yeah, these are our guys? No, no. Like someone who owns the club that originated like 100 years ago in your city, uh, that guy or that company, because these are stock companies now, right? They bought these people from all over the world so that they can compete there. To me, this is to me, as a fan or a potential fan, this has zero appeal, zero whatsoever. Okay. And I also made videos in the past um, about the German national team of soccer. I put that in the info box and in the links down below. You can check them out if you're interested in that, because Angela Merkel and all the other chancellors before, I think also, they kind of they instrumentalized, or they used the national team for their propaganda or PR efforts. And football was always heavily politicized in the Federal Republic of Germany. So I was actually glad that our team lost that early in the last World Cup. If I'm not mistaken, that was a good thing, I guess, because this is bread and circus, right? This is bread and games, or Brot und Spiele, right? This is what they said in ancient Rome. You know, if you want to sedate, pacify the plebs, then you have to give them bread and games, bread and the circus. And I think this is a very counterproductive mechanism or aspect of today's professional sports. What would I suggest then? You know, if you really like football, well, I'm not telling you what to do, but what I would do. I mean, of course, if you like football, you should play football. Maybe you shouldn't sit on your couch and watch some pros from 7,000 kilometers away play football in your city. Why would you? Just, you know, have a team with your friends at work. You know, have a amateur league, or join an amateur team. In Germany, every village has football clubs, and even there is an Altherren, that means the old gentleman, you know, so people who are not in the first team anymore because they're too old, they still have their own league. Yeah, they have their old gentleman league, and they can still play, right? And you know, and if you can't play anymore, you can be a trainer for a local youth team, or for children or something. You can coach them, train them. Yeah, but you can have your team. And by your team, I mean a team that you're personally involved with, and not a team you watch on TV. Yeah. And I'm really happy, I have to say, especially what I heard from the USA, that people are less and less interested in these big leagues like NBA and stuff like that, because, and this is the very general point I want to make about athletes, but celebrities in general. You know, they are go-betweens between the unseen elites and the plebs. The celebrities are the ones that are telling the plebs what is cool, what to do, how to behave, what is a big no-no, what you can't ever say or do, because the elites, they want to be unseen. They want to be in the shadows. I mean, of course, you can look up who owns these teams. I mean, this is publicly available information. These are large corporations. You know who the owners are, of course, but who does that? Nobody bothers to look up who is actually owning this company, who is financing this, who owns this news channel, who owns this newspaper. People don't do that. So the elites can very easily, even though it's publicly available information, they can stay in the shadows, stay unknown. And the celebrities, be it Kardashians or some basketball star or some Hollywood movie star, they, in all these interviews, and you really ask yourself, why are we asking a a basketball player about foreign policy? Why don't we ask a random unemployed guy from the street or something? Why would somebody who throws balls through hoops know anything about economics or foreign policy or geopolitics? Why? It's easy, because these people they are known, they're celebrities. They have celebrity status. And uneducated and somewhat dim-witted masses, they care about what they say for some reason. And they get paid, or instructed at least, by the elites to tell the plebs what they should hear according to the opinion of the elites. They are the go-betweens. They are the translators. They are the interpreters between the unseen elites and the normal people. And that is their function. That has always been their function. And it could be some fashion model, it could be some actor, it could be a singer. It doesn't matter. Why are we asking these people about politics? It doesn't make any sense. Why does nobody ask that question? Why are we even listening to them? Why are they interviewed about these things? Why are articles being written about what they have to say or what they posted on Twitter? It shouldn't have any bearing on anything what an athlete has to say about foreign policy or diplomacy. So what they're saying is that in Europe and in the United States, there is discrimination against minorities. Oh, really? Really? Is there? I don't think there is. This is absolutely made up. The notion that in European countries or in the United States or in Canada or Australia, wherever, that there is vicious discrimination every day against visible minorities is laughable. The opposite is the truth. The exact opposite is the truth. And what are these NBA players? And I mean, you probably, if you're from America, you know exactly who I'm talking about, and you know way more about that. But what do they say about China, for example? Now, China puts minorities from Western China, for example, or some other religious groups or something. They literally put them in camps to mistreat them there and to incarcerate them there, right? They're literally doing that. The worst thing you can imagine. And what do these stars say? Oh, you can't talk bad about China. Oh, that's not cool. That's ignorant. You shouldn't say that. China. Oh, don't say anything about China, right? Yeah, but the United States has a discrimination problem, right? So I think that says everything that needs to be said about these celebrities, these sports stars, and their function in society. So to recap my points, going back, these celebrities are used to manipulate the masses, because if one of them would say it, it wouldn't have any effect, but they're all saying the same thing. Why? Because their celebrity status is dependent on the goodwill of the actual elites. And if they would step out of line, their celebrity status would be taken away from them. There would be a scandal, or I don't know, maybe they make them disappear. I have no idea, right? They have their ways. They control them in the end, somehow or another. It differs from country to country, but in the end, the elites control these celebrities, right? And they know that, and they have to play the game. And then I really welcome, healthy competition, and team sports especially are so important also for young people, so that they learn what a hierarchy is, what the chain of command is, what collaboration is, that you work together, sacrifice, and dedicate your training and your life towards a goal, like winning a cup or whatever. That is valuable, that is cool. But some way in people's lives, it goes from there to sitting on the couch yelling at a screen, and that is probably not the best use of time. Rather, you should be engaged, or play that sport, do that stuff yourself, and not just follow some celebrities, right? Because that is not productive use of time, I think personally. But of course, you have to live your own life. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm giving you my opinion here. And then I think that if you would take away the beer and the crowds and the live event, and kind of sterilize, for example, German football, like you have an empty stadium and they are playing, and then when the game is broadcasted on TV, you have an artificial pre-recorded soundscape of generic fan noises overlaid with that then maybe some old guy, some grandfather would tell his grandchild, son, do you know where these fan noises come from? Back in my day, there were still spectators in the stadium, and this is when they recorded that. And the old footage is still played until this day. Something like that, right? I mean, if it ever came to that, nobody would care about that sport anymore. And in my opinion, that's a good thing. And in America, it's maybe more fueled by the outrageous things that these sports stars said about political issues. In Germany, it's more that the stadiums are no longer allowed to be filled with fans, and there is no beer anymore. So play sports yourselves. Don't watch that stuff on TV, and you probably shouldn't care so much about what celebrities say, but I think people who watch my videos, I mean, that's kind of preaching to the choir. Okay, so this is what I wanted to say about recent developments in professional sports. Let me know how it is in your country and what you think about that. That's pretty much always what I'm interested in, but especially here because I think sports differs so much from country to country, and the different leagues and the different policies. I think I read something about the US and about Germany as I laid down here in this video, but about other countries, I really don't know. I mean, do French people drink red wine when they're going to the football stadium, and is that banned too now? I don't know. Take care. Servus, Kameraden.